So we're back with another conversation. This is actually our part two of the Some Truths. And we stopped that first conversation on the note of acceptance.
And appreciation.
Did I say both?
Yeah.
Was it both on there?
Mm-hmm.
Acceptance and appreciation. Those are the two hardest things for people to do. Can you accept me as I am, who I am right now, even though, yes, I know you want me to be better. Yes, I know I should strive to be better. Yes, I can make more money. Yes, I can get my hair done. Why don't you like the natural? You know what I'm getting at. Acceptance and appreciation.
I know what you're getting.
And it is the hardest two things for people to do. I know people sometimes say other things, but when you boil it down, that's what it comes to: acceptance and appreciation. Because there are many times what happens is getting one, I see, especially between the couples, the partners, getting one, meaning you get either or. I can accept it, but I'm not appreciating you and I'm not appreciating this moment. Or I really appreciate him, but dang, I wish he would just do this or grow some hair, or or I wish he would just stop talking to her friends so much all the time, or be a little firmer with her children, when I'm around.
You're right. It usually is one or the other.
Yeah. So, acceptance and appreciation. Let's hope everyone focuses on that. As we continue to focus on that, we have our artwork up to look at that Mandela.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do the part two because there were some PG, quote unquote, topics that we felt needed to be addressed, because the whole thing about the Some Truths was talking about who we are, who we were, who we're aspiring to be, what we're really into. And the reason to call it Some Truths is because just because it's true for us doesn't mean it's for others.
True.
There are some truths that are all encompassing, universal. Then there's perceptions of the truth and circumstantial truth, like circumstantial evidence. People, they would say, "Oh, well, you're playing semantics, and that's not really true. He lied to me. He straight up lied to me." Or, "Man, she didn't tell me the truth, man. She lied to me. She was trying to game me." Uh, yeah, that's those things are true in a universal truth kind of sense, especially in the community.
Right.
But what we're talking about are our personal truths, our business truths, our partner is truths, ideas and beliefs. And so in the PG world, many times we get into that whole male female Mars Venus conversation about why is this certain condition pervasive in just our community. And from the white woman, white male videos,
Yeah.
having a real conversation, we come to see that it's not across the board. It's not all or nothing as far as certain behaviors and certain things. Some things are more prevalent, but like Dr. Wilson said, at the end of the day, the racism comes into play. Racism is the pervasive thing, just like Neely Fuller would say today, white over non-white. But even bigger is the true white supremacists over all of it. That's where the Dick Gregory conversation comes in, when he's saying, don't be so foolish as to think that these white elites don't look down on everyone. And it doesn't matter white, black, yellow,
Exactly.
red. And when the end game, when those moves start coming, people may finally wake up and get that you've been tossed around and sold in the shell game. Dr. Martin Luther King talked about that in a few of his speeches, that poor, working poor, middle class whites have been misled about status in this country. And while their status continues to erode, just as the resources and the resource gain continues to, the antes keep being raised,
Right.
uh, more and more of them see it. But there's so much vitriol and hatred that has occurred. It is very hard to bring the two groups together to have an honest, no BS conversation, drop the emotional side, bring the logic to the conversation, then re-add the emotional side. Because there has to be a healing that takes place, an understanding that takes place, but before any of that, it has to make sense. It can't just be altruistic. We're all supposed to be brothers. Yeah, that's why you watch those guys starve over there while these other guys ate steak. And they weren't rich guys, they were just guys that you wanted to go bowling with. I mean, you know, that's a part of it.
Basic humanity.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely do.
Basics of humanity.
Yeah, just the example you just gave. It will be a group of people, and they don't have to be rich, but they do it better than another group of people. But there's never a thought these days to help out.
Well, you have tons of charities, tons of people doing charity work. In fact, it's hard to be a so-called regular volunteer these days because you got to go through a million background checks and fill out an application and training and this and that.
Applications just to volunteer.
Right, and it's just like, look, man, I just want to serve a few meals, clean up a few buildings, do something good, and keep it moving. They're not trying to be on your mailing list or fundraiser. They're like, our hearts have not caught up. One of my gurus would say our hearts haven't caught up with the technology. You have the capability to eradicate certain issues that plague various different regions on our planet. Yet, are you going to make the sacrifice, like when I said to the yogi, to get people to make a sacrifice? Just say, I don't want you to sign up for this and sign up for a monthly pass or a yearly thing. I just want you to come to one. Will you do this for a month with me? Will you take one class a week? Okay, if you can't do that, can you take one class every 2 weeks? And it doesn't necessarily have to be something in the living arts like yoga, this or that. It could be a relationship class. It could be a class on healthy eating. It could be a class on frugal shopping and eating. What our grandmothers used to show and teach through observation and then putting you behind the work, which is largely lost because, you can look up soul food recipe, this, that, X, Y, Z on Google, but to really learn how to do it and learn how to make things practically and make them taste good and be nutritious and take care of everybody at the same time, you got to practice that. You got to actually do it. And not, well, hey, I did that. That was my project for this week. That's a place to start, but, even getting started with that. But the real meat on the plate is from what we do. We talk about sexual health and wellness because in our community, that's such a taboo. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to just be blessed from heaven. God's supposed to make it all right. You're supposed to pop out. And you're supposed to know everything you're supposed to do with a woman or a man, and you don't need any kind of development, instruction, according to some folks, even practice. Just do it and it's done.
No maintenance, no nothing.
Yeah, you know, we're gonna get married. It's gonna last forever because he loved me. You laughed at me because I asked the fact that why do certain things the women get into, why do they continue to just follow that when they know it does not work? And your thing was, well, they're hoping to change the men through the men wanting that sex or wanting to be with them or what have you. And, you know, the one thing you can say about the young guys with the big talent and other stuff is they're laying it out for the truth. And not like in our day, but they're laying it out for the millennials and other younger ones out there and saying, hey, that's not how it is. You're not that special. You don't have the golden vagina, or, you know, I don't like using the Latin term, so, you know, we don't have to get vulgar, or we can say ussy or whatever. You know what we're talking about. You don't have it. You don't have the golden hole. Okay? But you also don't have the golden pole. But most men, even though they holler, whether it's young or old, about being the pimp daddy and living out their Mac Daddy fantasies, and yeah, they all love me, and I got 3, 4 women I'm stringing along, or what have you, or I'm putting it to them good. Still, at the end of it all, they don't have the golden pole.
And they know it. But the talk sounds good.
Something you got to stroke the ego some kind of way. Come on, let's keep it real. I mean, there are. Hey, look, for the brothers that their wood is good, they know it because that 20% of sisters, as what the one guy said, that 80% are chasing that 20% that supposedly have the good wood. I told you my breakdown though, which was very different. That it's not the 20% with good wood, it's 15% the good wood. The other 5% perpetrated, whether they slip a pill, they do this. The women don't know what good wood is.
Exactly.
Okay. And then instead of that 80%, it's really only 70%. Actually less than that. But, you know, there's always a break. There's this middle ground in there. And those are usually where the extreme horror stories or the, wow, how did I get so lucky stories happen. You know, the guy with the mediocre sex game that does me, okay, in our community, like in that Dave Chappelle skit when he was like, oh, he had the sex with Oprah and she was pregnant. He's like, you gotta say the jackpot because, hey, well, you know, you're the rich sisters. Hey, I'm set. I'm set. It's like, what's that? Oh, Britney Spears thing. You've been Federline.
Good old Kevin Federline.
You know, or you get the complete opposite end of the spectrum with the horror stories. Like, man, I went out with this woman and literally sitting in the middle of the date, she started taking her pills and she was like, oh, I might have a seizure. You know, but then wanted to try to give me head in the car after the dinner date, which, you know, was just kind of like, wow. And a million other wonderful stories of the city.
Right.
For our folk. I mean, you got some.
Yeah, I got some. I've got some. I've heard some, but you know, it doesn't make any difference at the end of the day. The stories doesn't make any difference if everybody gets stuck in that. Like, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to do it because she told me that if I do this, this, and this, this is going to work. Or he told me if I do this to him or if I do that to her, this is going to work. They're all telling these ridiculous stories or these things to do or these ways to be.
The gaminess.
Yeah, but
what I call
it
what's that bald head
just
guy that
perpetuating
couldn't keep his wife, but
Who?
Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey. Think like a man, kind of.
I know the book
play the game, and you know. I told you my thing. If you call it a cookie with me, you might as well keep walking. You don't have to worry about your so-called sweets there. You're gonna call your sex again. That's our problem We
I
want to
hate
be
that.
in the
You know I
fantasy.
hate that.
Exactly. We want to be in the fantasy
Mhm.
instead of just have a practical adult discussion. A practical adult discussion. You don't want to play games. That's what everybody said. I don't want no games. I don't want no drama. You don't know
I want you to keep it 100.
what is that.
Don't even know.
The kids will say you're old.
That's cool. I'm glad I'm old. I appreciate
Yeah,
being old.
yeah.
Because I don't want to know what. No, it's not even keeping it 100. You have to say keeping it 100. Get it right. Throw it in there. If you say it wrong, then
Okay,
you
now
really
you
old.
just being mean.
Then you really old if you say
Trying
it incorrect.
to put the dialect
You gotta
deal
do
in
it.
there. But with all the colloquialisms, to digress to that,
Just
you know, that's a part of our actual spirituality. We speak the truth even when we don't realize that's what we're actually doing. When we come up with these different sayings and slang and all that, and it carries over the youth. For each generation, they have their way, and they're universal and continue. That's why everybody's
Certainly.
always stealing them from us.
You know it. The whole language is transferred over. I mean, you hear all manner of Asian kids, white kids, Hispanic kids, all of them.
But
sounding like us.
Well, they ain't sounding like us. They want to sound like us, and
Trying
that's
damn
because
hard.
that whole thing when the lady talked about what they cannot do is create. They can take what you created, manipulate it a million different ways, and make it beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But what they can't do is take that blank page and create anything from it. So, in the end, it always comes back to the indigenous human family on the planet of color, black people, to create. And then, therefore, the rest of the world gets the gift of what we create, and they can manipulate it all different types of ways to enjoy themselves. But what we're talking about is sexual health and wellness. Because my part about the truths in that is that we have major dysfunction in the community. And I'm not talking about the LGBT so-called crisis going on in the black community. I'm not talking about the single mother crisis. I'm not talking about the black men in jail, so they're getting exposed and they're coming out, they're getting more sisters, this and that, because they gay loving thugs or on the DL, what have you. Not talking about that crisis. What we're talking about is just a good, solid, down, natural, from nature, understanding of our true sexuality, the real purposes that lie behind the sex, beyond the altruistic sense and all lovely, all heaven, rainbows and pink shades kind of thing. The all sex is just for procreation thing. So unless you're looking to have a baby or create a life, you shouldn't be having sex. The sex is one way, one position on Wednesday nights and Sundays after church. That's it. Position. Okay. And because we've even seen documentary after documentary where you have in our community black women saying, well, nobody ever really had a true sexual conversation with me about my sexuality, the different things that go along with the sex, the puberty, the learning about your body, the pleasure or the pain associated.
Right, what feels good, what doesn't feel good.
And the same for black men. You learn from TV, they learn from porn, and they learn from other stuff. My issues are we don't have real conversations. You know, I told you my history. I had a ongoing, and it wasn't because I came and asked a question. It was because largely I thought my dad just assumed I was having sex.
Right.
Some of the stuff I just that was just in my head. It's like he had to be thinking I'm sex because some of the conversations we would have, and it was an ongoing conversation. It wasn't sit down. We're gonna have to talk.
Mhm.
It was an ongoing thing from actually earlier than I think, but actively
Mhm.
those prepubescent into adolescent years. You know, when you start going through your change.
True, and I explained the same thing to you that I find disappointing with women that are raising daughters that don't talk to them about sex, or when the child comes to you and has a question or is curious, that's when you answer the question. You don't say to them, "Oh, okay, well, when you're 13, mommy will talk to you about that. You're too young right now." There's no such thing as being too young.
If they came to you and asked a question,
The knowledge is there,
yeah.
and they need to have it correct. They don't need to hear it from the street. They don't need to read it off a
Don't does that not
Cosmo.
kill you?
That makes me enraged, and it is till this day perpetrated. Till this day.
Well, black people will say that you know the church has dogma, demonized sex and made it so you know you can't have those conversations and you don't have those conversations.
Yeah, and that's why your kid's pregnant in junior high school, because you're not having those conversations. That's why
Or
she has sexually transmitted diseases.
yeah, a lot of them like with the mouth.
Yeah.
Like it just.
It's insane, because you're not.
I saw that
talking to
article
them.
about that. That was hilarious to me. Sorry. Yeah, we'll take the abstinence challenge, and all of us will swear we're not going to have sex till we're married. But you know, we'll have chlamydia, what is it, syphilis, and gonorrhea in the mouth
The mouth.
because we've been having oral sex. I mean, hey, you can't get pregnant, and nobody will know we did it. So then canker sores start showing up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just in it's unnecessary. At this age, that's where my mind really is at now. It is so unnecessary. Yes, you have to have a moral code. Yes, you have to have some standards.
Right.
But half a brain people and the majority of people in the country, let's not go to the planet. Let's just deal with where we at. I don't know anybody in my lifetime that will say, as a teenager, they did not experiment some kind of way with sex,
Right.
whether it's through masturbation, with a partner, these days, whichever partner, back then, whatever partner, just, you know. But people tend to, these adults tend to think that, you know, you don't talk about it,
Right.
you don't do it. And then they wonder why you have the bad marriage rate, you have the bad relationship rate. Well, if you want to call it a relationship, when it's hookup culture,
Mm-hmm.
you know, dating is what? I want to get to know you, then I get to know you, and we're not going to have sex. Why can't we just say that? Let's just say this, okay? Let's take all the pressure out of it. We say, you know what? We're going to get to know each other. Like Millie Fuller would say, ask your 200 questions. You think that's not a lot of questions, but sit down and write out your 200 questions that you got for the next person you want to date for a while. And you say, okay, I got to get through these 200 questions with that person, ask and answer.
Mm-hmm.
Not, okay, like taking a test. You got to talk. You got to ask the questions. You get through that. Then we can talk about what you looking at over across the table at me,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or what you think, you know, I look like. But, you know, I say a lot of that has to come down to, again, the commoditization of sex. And you had a comment about that.
I have a lot of comments. Gonna have to refresh my memory
Well,
a bit.
when that subject came up, and I said, yeah, you got the trafficking, you got the other stuff, but because it's so commercialized, I took it to the point people want to say, oh, it's the sickness, it's the perversion, it's an evil spirit that's on us, the devil is taking us because so many women are being molested, touched, violated by father, brother, cousin, uncle. Before it was always the joke with Uncle Louie that liked to touch the little kids. But we're not really talking about little kids. See, that's talking about little kids is one thing, the pedophilia and all that. And like the people who have taken stances out there, I'm just one of them that believe in, well, you know my history with that. I from the other perspective of the law, having to deal with individuals, that doesn't change.
Right.
So it's like, you know what? The fact that they have multiple victims doesn't change. So do yourself a favor and eliminate that. That's how that goes. You don't have to talk about it. You don't have to have debates about it. You don't care about what other people think from the medical community and other places and getting the back and forth things with them.
Right.
You just do what you're going to do and keep it moving. Because if you have the common sense that you believe you have and you know what you know to be true, then there really is no discussion. When you get into the others, not that one is better than the other, okay, when it comes to perversion and crime, the sex starts with the young, but not all. Some, when that budding time period comes, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now we know, especially in the hoods, what our kids are eating,
Right.
their bodies, the way they're looking, the way they're showing, that how they are. You got, the men, and it's not new.
Right.
People have talked about it from way back. Shahzad Ali talked about that. It ain't new. But if it's grown women in that household, that's the first charge. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because as a female, you gotta know. And what do you tell me, like with the dress? What do you always say about dress?
100%. That the woman has to be mindful of what she looks like when she leaves the house.
Because what?
Because men are always looking.
Men and boys.
Yes, men from little boys from the age of 5 and 6. If they see some booty and they see some breasts, they're looking. They are looking. It does not matter. It is a natural thing for a man to look at a woman.
So the whole looking at, before the jokes were looking at cousin, looking at step this, step that, meaning we ain't blood related, so
It sure is the truth.
in the country, the kissing cousins. And it's not just our community.
No.
The first thing is, this is people activity.
Right.
It's pervasive and it's more detrimental in our community because racism is more detrimental, meaning you don't have the resources to get yourself out of the fixes other groups do. That's just the bottom line. You can try to talk to me medically, from the law standpoint, from the moral standpoint, from the philosophical standpoint. I've professionally dealt with all of them. I've dealt with those individuals from a range of ages. Sorry. That whole sexual thing is there. In all of the groups of people. It's not one group of people. But talking about ours, yes, it's taboo. But instead of pushing it under the carpet thinking it's going to change, or simply just voicing, I had this happen to me, or making movies about, look how I was abused by my mama, or my daddy, or my aunt. You know, we so stuck in wanting to testify and tell the story versus let's get to the practical what we need to do.
Right.
And You could focus on the perpetrators, but that's an easy enough fix. The people that need help are still around. And you could try talk therapy, but you're wasting your damn time and money.
Right.
Because talk therapy doesn't work. You have to do talking simply to voice it and get it out.
Get it out, right.
But after a few times of that, because that's all you need, and if you got nobody you trust enough to do it, put up a mirror in front of your bed and sit there, take some deep breaths, and you do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what it comes down to
Right.
with the talk therapy. But you got to use these other modalities that work with the body, that connect with the body and spirit. We don't talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's taboo because the church is labeled anything outside of praying to Jesus,
Right.
white Jesus, sorry, praying to white Jesus to redeem you as a failure. It's not knocking the church. It's not knocking this. Prayer is important. Using myself, have to do it, but not the way people are taught to pray, and not through those methods.
Right.
I never in the old church had the feeling or was taught that sex was bad.
Mm-hmm.
Never even those connotations. I never in the old church had acceptance of perversion as accepting all people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We know you like to put on Little Susie's dress on Saturday nights and drink your corn liquor and do your little girly dance
Right.
in the back room.
Mm-hmm.
But when you come out on Sunday morning, you need to have your damn suit on,
Mm-hmm.
clean, ready to go where you got to go.
Right.
Because the flaming and the twirling and the other BS is what? That's nonsense. I don't care what anybody says. That's not a part of your sexuality. Unnecessary. You feel like you got to do that, put on a damn clown suit and go somewhere and go round and round. I'm sorry. That's just where it's at. Nobody want to talk about that, but I will say it because it's ridiculous. The whole butchie thing, taping up your breast to this, I want to be a man.
Mm-hmm.
For fucking what?
Right.
But if you get punched in your face like a man, and I know some of you hardcores out there that's going to pull your blades out, come looking for me to test me, okay? I'm going to just shoot you in your ass like I would a guy, but it is what it is.
Since you want to be a man.
But just, I mean, it's,
Sure.
yeah, there's expression, then there's, what are you doing? Like, for what? To make a statement to who?
Mm-hmm.
To prove what? To get where? You got women rationing sex with men because they feel like it's only a duty and obligation because that's how they was raised. I have sex when I get married, and then I have sex if he does something nice for me, or if I'm feeling it because he deserves it, then, you know, I'll give him some. You already know where I stand with that. Yeah, I mean, sorry, you just be on strike. Sorry, you just call yourself on permanent strike. Matter of fact, give me my ring back. Okay.
I'll give you the ring back.
Oh, you want? So what? Talk about that, because I've been running my mouth. You talk about that.
Funny, give me the ring back.
Rationing.
How
would you feel if the brother was rationing?
Oh, you know what? We joke about it all the time because you know me. If I'm rubbing up on it, talking about baby, let's go, and you're like, okay, well, no, I'm making you none tonight, and you're saying it to me jokingly, and you know, I'm like, I know you ain't trying to ration it. I know you ain't going in. So we do joke about it, but if it was a serious thing, it would be a problem because I have a healthy sex drive. I like to have sex.
What
I
is
like
a
to
healthy
engage.
sex drive, sister?
Every day is healthy for me, but you know.
Well, there's people
stuff
out there
gets in the
now
way.
calling you the big F word, but
They can call me whatever they want.
But what's a healthy sex drive? You got everything from people
Healthy
saying
is-
once a week to no more than 2 times
and
a
you know
week.
What? Everybody has a different definition of healthy. There's no one size fits all definition of healthy. For me, if I had to sit down with a group of women and say, you should be, it would be good for you to, it's beneficial to have engagement with your partner at least 3 times a week. At least.
Okay, does that mean full all out coitus? Because we have some
That means
differences.
sweating them perms out, getting them weaves knotted
No,
up.
you already
all
know that's
that.
not happening because that's almost these days the level of a prostitute. Let's keep it real.
Well, you know what? If you need to bring the hoe out in yourself, then you should do that.
Okay,
There's nothing wrong with that.
not saying there's nothing wrong with that, but let's talking about some truths. Let's get to some truths.
That's
There's a
unrealistic.
correlation
3 times a
between
week.
there's a correlation between your level of sexual activity and your productivity rate, especially as a man.
Mm-hmm.
There's a correlation between your level of sexual activity and your longevity in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
What people don't talk about is the fluidity of that range of this is how much I need. Because I don't believe there's a number. I think it has to do with where you're at. Meaning, we might be going through a tough time right now. And for a lot of black folks, there's some stuff was more prevalent for us that we got to deal with
Mm-hmm.
from the get go. From the moment we hit this plane, we come here, we got to deal with it.
Right.
So we might be going through a little tough time right now. It might be financial. It might be, some family stuff going on that we got to work some issues out. Might be something regional going on. Could be some natural disaster. Whatever the case may be, everything gets amped up.
Mm-hmm.
That totally kills a man when it comes to his focus and his sex drive.
Right.
And so, for a lot of men, women are down on them because they are so-called impotent, can't keep an erection or get an erection. And now in our community, come on, we had nothing else, so what was that? Who was that? Somebody did this thing, and so their thing was, they had nothing else, so they had to be proud of their dicks.
Mm-hmm.
That big black dick thing.
Right.
Yeah, I want the foot long.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm still looking for that handful of sisters. I never seen a handful yet in my lifetime.
I haven't either.
I did see one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, knowing our history, that's like wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big stickler, even more so for a brother.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying it. It's more of a stickler for a brother to be impotent than I think others. Is it less detrimental? No. I think for all men, regardless of the color or where they're at and this and that's an issue. I think for black men in America, as well as other places, but definitely here in America, that's an issue.
Mm-hmm.
That is a heavy, heavy issue. Now, yeah, changing the diet, doing the work. You can have Mr. Johnson standing erect, ready to roll.
Right.
Okay? But there are sometimes external factors that make that hard. What a pun right there, right? I didn't mean that. But, wow.
That's funny.
Okay, all I'm saying is it's circumstantial. Sometimes you're dealing with something. So, brother ain't going to feel like 3 times a week. Now, you might get some offers coming in. I had to be like Bertie Mac at that one. Go ahead. Do what you're going to do. But, and that's a reality too. We'll get to that part. But, then there's some sisters that's like, 3 times a week, girl, they want, And that's a heck of a ride when you're with somebody that's like, no, I want mine every day.
Mm-hmm.
Like their morning coffee. I want mine every day.
Right.
Some I've seen doing it from the belief of if I'm not doing that, then someone else is getting my share.
Mm-hmm.
Aha. Then there's some that really do need the activity,
Yeah.
want to share that energy.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's some who believe that that's what the man wants. And so it almost becomes a twisted game because he really doesn't, but then he's thinking that's what she wants.
Right.
And so they're engaging in sex. And people think, well, people don't just, that doesn't make any sense. Well, people are afraid to talk to each other because they don't want to get into arguments. They don't want to deal with heavy issues because it's scary. Uh, we have a tendency to go from 0 to 100
Right.
because we're already under undue stress here in this country. So it's like, that's all I need, just one more thing
Right.
to go off when we usually see each other. You see each other in the morning, you go to work or whatever you're going to do. You see each other after all that. So after you dealt with all the world stuff, this and that, you come back to each other.
Mm-hmm.
What's the one white lady? Mating in,
Captivity.
yeah, what's her name? The French lady.
Is it Louise something? Ellen? Louise?
Yeah, well, she was talking about the fact that most of the time with her research, and you got to give it to her because she took it there, our partners get the lesser side.
Right.
So when you sit down and you talk to your partner, they get to disgusted, frustrated, I'm tired of this stuff look. Whether it's at them or it's just
Exactly.
the world we're in.
Mm-hmm.
Versus when you're at the job and you're at that boring conference table and you got to sit up because you can't just slump back and like take the nap you really want to take. So you got to sit up and pay attention to somebody talking about something they really don't know about and throwing out some numbers to impress some people who don't know anything either and are afraid to make a damn decision because that's where a lot of them at these days.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a whole nother ball game.
Her name's Esther.
Esther
Perel.
Perel.
Mm-hmm.
Esther Perel. Mating
Check
in
her out.
Captivity.
Check it out.
That's you take what's there and you leave the rest.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the curriculum stuff was great. All of the, what's the word I'm looking for? The C word when it comes to science, cognitive stuff
Mm-hmm.
was great. But then, like they do, they start getting heady with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's their game and that's fine.
Right.
But just like, okay. But at the basis, it's like, bottom line, we're not meant to be monogamous. Our version of monogamy is one at a time, not one for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And there's people who say, well, what's wrong with that? Okay, there's nothing necessarily wrong with it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the real version of what monogamy means.
True.
Personally, me, I don't believe in that, and you know my reasons for that. But
we don't believe in that.
oh, excuse me. Speak up, sister. Speak up, because there's a lot of sisters that didn't hear you.
We don't believe in that. Not you don't believe in that. We are together because we don't believe in monogamy.
Does that mean you sleep around?
That's exactly what it means, but it's not sleeping around. It's an open relationship. If I choose to be with another man, that's what will happen. If you choose to be with another woman, that's what will happen.
No qualms, no strings attached.
No.
You could bring somebody home, and I'm gonna just be okay with it.
Well, I mean, we usually have.
So now here comes
and say,
the
hey.
real deal, because see, this is the conversations people don't have,
Well,
because
yeah,
this is the BS that they get into with. Oh well, you say a relationship, that means they can just do what they want. Which this has been dealing with that already. The brothers is doing whatever they want anyway.
I've said that 1,000,000 times. Every single woman who swear up and down she not gonna be in no open relationship. Sweetie, you in an open relationship right now. And if your husband had a tiny bit of nerve to sit across from you and tell you what he wants, how he feels, and yes, I've been sleeping with the next door neighbor for the last 6 months. Sorry, I didn't tell you. It's because he can't talk to you.
What, behind the trash cans on the side of the house?
Whatever works. If the trash can turns you on, honey, I'm not gonna judge you.
Let me tell you something as a brother that knows, okay? Whenever, however, wherever it can happen, it's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my personal experience, you don't even want to get some of the places because you wouldn't believe that women would stoop so low to give up some booty that way. I'm not talking teenagers. I'm not talking 20-year-olds. I'm talking older.
I don't know why you don't think I would understand it.
Okay? Like, oh, we can do this. Because just like the men want to get theirs, the ladies want to get theirs too.
Exactly. And I don't know why people try to fake the funk and girls try to act like it ain't happening.
Okay?
I have no shame.
So, practical conversations got to come in there. So, our truths are that it doesn't matter which love style you choose, but you need to be honest enough to say that.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you, as a man, the hardest thing there is to tell the woman you love that you want to be with another woman.
Mm-hmm.
Because men learn early. When you tell little Susie that you want to go out with little Shaniqua, okay, then little Susie like, well, I don't want to talk to you no more. You hurt my feelings.
Right.
And you're like, well, what is that about? And then one of his older buddies or older brother might say, you big dummy, you can't tell her that. You just got to say, yeah, little Susie, you're the only one for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I only want to go out with you. And then go around the corner and tell little Shaniqua, hey, we going out Friday night. Don't tell nobody here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And I'll buy you extra ice cream. And that's where it goes. Sorry to say, that's where the game starts. Or nowadays, you'll tell it to little Susie, and she might tell little Shaniqua, hey, look, if you tell him you'll go out with him, he'll get you an ice cream. So what we'll do is I get one, I get two from him, and we'll split the other one. Just not. Okay? However it works, it's all game.
Right.
And people don't want game. People are tired of game, especially when you get older and those ice creams turn into jewelry,
Mm-hmm.
lingerie, perfume, car payments, house payments, utility payments,
Mm-hmm.
child support. Okay? I mean, just there.
That's true.
Just there. You got a little tickle at me when I said that why do these women think they can change the men from wanting or desiring to have more than one partner or not to be, let's say it this way. I don't want to be regulated to your sex pattern.
Mm-hmm.
I want to have my individual freedom and my sex pattern, not regulated to yours, meaning when you want it, how you want it, where you want it, and that's it. Why do you think women believe they can change that in men?
That's just part of it. It's not like when a woman meets a man and she has her designs on him and she decides, okay, he's a good man, he's a good provider, he will do right by me, he'll do right by my children, but that man sits across from her and says, you know, I really have feelings for you, strong feelings for you. I'd like to see where this goes, but you need to know that I am non-monogamous. It's just this switch that flips off inside of her, and she's like, yeah, okay. And she hears what you're saying, and she understands what you mean. There's no comprehension problem. She gets the definition, you know, she might need a little more of a definition, so she might even say to you, well, what is your version of non-monogamy? You going to be sleeping with 20 different women? You're going to be sleeping with 3 different women? You're going to be doing this every week? You're going to be doing this once a month? What is non-monogamy to you? And y'all get that straight, and y'all settle it down, and then in her mind, she's like, well, that's not going to really work for me. But I'm just going to get him in my house, and I'm going to get him taking care of us and taking care of the kids, and then I'm gonna put this golden pussy on him, and it's gonna be different. He's gonna love me and only me. He's not gonna need to be with another woman because I'm gonna give him everything he needs.
How many black porn stars you met?
I
Women.
think with the porn that
Women.
I've watched in my lifetime,
Women. Not the guys, the women.
I mean, that I can honestly remember about 8.
Okay, so
I've seen about 8.
you've seen
7 or
about 8 personally. You've seen about 8 in your lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll just say adult lifetime.
Right.
How many
Since
women have you
23.
come across? Huh?
Since the age of like 23.
So, okay, in your adult lifetime.
Right.
So, how many women you think you've met in your adult lifetime since that age?
Met?
Yeah, like met, talked to, met.
Thousands.
Okay, so if you met thousands of women, but you say, how many you said? 8?
Yeah, about 8.
You met about 8. So 8 out of 1,000.
Mhm.
I'll give you that. We'll just say you met 1,000 women in that lifespan,
Mhm.
and 8 out of those 1,000 were porn stars,
Mhm.
and we're talking about black people.
Mhm.
So those 8, I could see them saying, "I'm gonna put the golden booty on that brother,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna get whatever I want out of him."
Right.
Now the other 992 women, without the golden pornographic booty, you need to stop with it. That's all I'm gonna say about it. You need to stop with it. You need to stop with the BS with that. Get over it. Yeah, he gonna love it. He gonna hit it. It's good for the time.
Right.
I might even come back.
Mhm.
I might come back more than once. I might move in.
Mhm.
He might even marry you.
But
Depending
it
on where he
doesn't
is.
Stop the desire.
Exactly. And that gaming is ridiculous.
Mhm.
Now, what about the men's side of that angle? That from that same angle?
Well, you're the man, so you could speak on that.
No. Like what I asked you
Mhm.
about the women, but you can talk about that from the man's angle of, like you said, I'm in an open relationship, and I was joking about, okay, you just bringing a brother home, and I'm supposed to just walk in like, okay, that's cool, but hey, do your thing, and
Mhm.
be in another room, or I go take a nap, or whatever the case may be, and that's some TV bullshit.
That's 1,000% TV bullshit because you have the conversation prior to that. Both parties,
But-
the male and the female would have the conversation.
But okay, well that's people's having the conversation and setting their groundwork, setting their ground rules, which are flexible.
Yes. Right.
Okay,
Right.
ridiculous when people think, well, that's what you said, and it's like,
Right.
okay, that was like 3 years ago, and we haven't had a conversation since then. I've been trying to, and you've been avoiding it.
Right.
But let's take that angle from the other side.
Mhm.
You, as the woman,
Mhm.
and you feel like you're meeting these men, and you tell them you don't want to be monogamous, or
And then
you need to.
they flip out once the conversation is not in. It's not just a conversation. Now it's a reality because I've said they know I have a partner, which is you. They're not unfamiliar with the conversation involving you because it's not like I don't talk about you. Everything that we're doing business-wise, personal, I mean, you're in my conversations. It's unavoidable. So it's not a secret that I have a partner. And that's wonderful and that's fine and everybody understands. Everything's great in the beginning because it's not really like in their face.
Well,
It's
women do
not-
the same thing.
Yeah, they do. And then when the time comes when it's like, okay, well, you know, what's next? Are we going to shit or get off the pot? Are we moving this to the next level? Well, I'm not really sure if I want to meet him or, oh, you were serious about that? Or like, you're like,
You're kidding.
no. Or it's like, that's a real serious relationship. Like, it's going to be the two of us. I'm like, oh, but it could be you and Susie and Mary, but it can't be me and you and another brother? Why not? That's like this
you got
constant double standard.
everybody from the you got everybody from Israelites to people in the church and lay people in the church that will try to burn you on the stake. Because as a woman, you're defiled. How could you be sharing yourself with more than one man? You're married to this man. They know on certain terms under God you belong to that man. You know, there's some spiritual aspects to those things.
Yeah, and that's another conversation for another video, because I understand that I am not a man, and I am not going to sleep
You
with.
sound like Sister Ali right there when she
5, 6,
said
7, 8,
it doesn't
9
mean you
different
can't
men.
have sex
Right.
with another man, but you're not a man, so
Right.
you're
I'm
not
not
going
gonna
to do
have-
the same
No.
things as a man.
And I'm not going to maintain 2 separate households with 2 different sets of men. This is my household. You are my partner. You are my husband. This is where it starts. Yes, I may have sex with another man. Yes, I even may have a really good friendship / relationship with another man. But this is where home is. And if that man decides, you know what, I'm really feeling you, and your partner is a good guy, we have good guy conversations together, then he will be becoming part of this family. I'm not going over there to start another family. It doesn't work that way. But a man can maintain, as long as he has the resources and the wherewithal, 3, 4 different families. Because he can take that time. He can
Yeah, I
take
think
that.
the church people, we done burnt you up by now. You talking about them people off in the West somewhere with them 31 and 15 and 25 wives, and they marrying the young girls, and they doing this, and they send the young men off so they don't have to worry about competing with them and all that. And some of that is very real.
I know. I've unfortunately seen some of that.
So some other truths quickly. The whole thing about sexual health and wellness is having fun in the conversation, which a lot of our people do.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens is the lack of understanding to what's going on a deeper level, and how you can use that energy instead of looking at it always from an altruistic sense, and the bigger sense of meeting people where they're at. I'm not going to talk to you in terms that from another culture that you've never hardly heard about, and using their language to describe our genitalia, our sexual positions, and this and that. Okay? A lot of that all came out of from us anyway. All of it came from Africa. All of it came established out of our civilizations. They destroyed our stuff so that nobody could say that it came from us.
Right.
We all as a people need to stop being so afraid of what looks like other people's stuff and recognize it for what it is. It's our stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And even then, when they steal it, they still can't get it right.
Right.
One of the things about our folk are that, and I wrote this down because I was listening to it today. I heard some stuff and it threw me off. There's nothing wrong with putting things in the spirit,
Mm-hmm.
talking about the spirit religiously. Okay, we live that.
Right.
The religion they gave us was never nothing like what we took it, where we took it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We live that. We are that. Yet, I feel our biggest thing is we have to use some practical application. It's required because faith and actualization is works. Where that whole scripture talks about you have to have works
Right.
to prove that faith.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just say, well, I'm going to take care of it. And just sit there or complain about it.
Exactly. And not do anything else to help yourself or the situation.
And then when action follows, as you are healed as things get good, as you're satisfied, as you're fulfilled, as you're successful, etc., that's where action follows from that faith. I believe, what does Brown always talking about? You got to believe it's possible. I just have a hard time with so many black people not really knowing who or listening to more or less Brown stuff. They cannot agree with anything, they don't want to agree with the man. But tried and proven, those principles are key.
True.
When you add that to the power of your sexual creativity, which is your sexual energy, there's nothing you can't manifest. But it's not going to come from saying a few mantras that somebody taught you in a class and getting together some sex, say, yes, baby, I believe. Oh, yeah, we going to do it. You know, some things you can simplify, but the process is a little bit different. But you can make that practical for people to apply. You can make that practical where we can come home together in less than 5 minutes, do what we need to do in those exercises and connect, because your brain doesn't know what's not real or this or that. It works off of circuitry, electricity. Your emotion is linked to what you establish as meaning to those events, to those things. And so as you're retraining your brain through doing those things, guess what happens? The other areas of your engagement become more successful because you're retrained your brain in an easy, practical way to not be afraid of each other, to not be afraid of what you've been made afraid of. We live in a touch-averse society. How the hell can you think you're going to have a good relationship with anybody when you are growing up and living in a touch-averse society? Well, if you don't know what that means you don't like being touched, or don't like touching people, or people touching you. Don't want to kiss nobody. Don't want to, or they breath stink, or they say, stop. I'm like Dr. Jewel with that one. You need the natural to be yourself. You've been fooled and had, especially when it comes to the sex stuff. And you need to stop it.
I agree that all this faith, is wonderful, but just like you said, faith without works is dead. So it's like, what are you doing? What are you having faith in it for if you really, as I've said before, don't want to do the work? And it's not something that's so difficult and so painful. You can enjoy doing the work.
Really?
You can enjoy doing the work.
Work sounds hard. I work enough.
But we've said that before in the last video. It's not about toil.
Repetition is the key to learning, baby. Work sounds hard. Can we use a different word? Okay, 1 minute.
No, why do we have to use a different word? Why do we have to do, seriously, we are grown folks. We are not babies anymore. Why do we have to use a different word?
Well, we don't.
It's not like.
But, I'm going to say this.
Right.
Sometimes, I believe it depends on the group. So I give you that one. I believe it depends on the group, though. I think you have to take into account who you're talking to, like you should at all times.
Yeah, I know your audience.
And if you think using the word work might not be the best word to use with that group of folk, you need to be able to interchange it. And that's a skill that we actually used to be very good at. I don't see a lot of people being as good as we used to be. But it needs to be interchangeable with things that don't skew the meaning but get it across in a different message. Because I think it's important that people stop with the demonization, stop being afraid to have the real conversations, stop not understanding how important your sexual wellness is.
Mhm.
But because they're not serious, just like I want to lose weight, but I'm eating this fried chicken. I want to lose weight, but I can't stop eating pork. I want to lose weight, I want to be healthy, but I got to eat meat every day.
Mhm.
I got to eat refined stuff every day.
Mhm.
And living in toxic environments. I don't buy non-toxic cleaning products and things. I don't think that's important. You know, putting that stuff in your skin.
Yep.
So, give me 3 words to end this with some truths about sexual health and wellness.
It's important.
That's 2 words.
It is important. How's that?
Okay, sis, you got me. Okay, it is important.
It is necessary. Give me 3 words.
Feel good now.
I wanted to say live well now. I should have said that first.
Feel good now. Live well now is our cat.
I know, that's why I wanted to
But
say it.
feel good now, and the reason I use those 3 words is because people, we have been so bamboozled and lied to about you can feel good later. You can get your pleasures later. You can abstain. You can not talk about it. You can wait till you get married. You can wait till he comes back. You can wait till she's ready. Uh, yeah, all of those things are important, but they are not absolutes. The most absolute is feel good now. Feel good now is not a catchphrase for turn up now, get drunk now, get high now, let me party now. Feeling good after a high. I never met one junkie I had to clean up off the street or pick up out of the street or take to the hospital drunk, any of them that said they felt good. And some of them would lament. I've seen people cry as they were shooting up or doing whatever because although they wanted to feel good, they knew the pain that would come when that was over.
Right.
Feel good now means it's time for you to start feeling better, especially as a people. Sex is a healing modality. Sex is beautiful. It is not something to be ashamed or tired of. Yes, there's a lot of issues going on. There's a lot of things going on that we don't like. But the easiest way to deal with things that you don't like is to simply start doing something about it. If it makes you feel good to knock somebody upside the head for touching your 12-year-old sister or your 13-year-old son, and we ain't gonna talk about the youngest, then guess what? You need to feel good now. If you need sex more than that once a week that man or woman is trying to regulate you to, you need to find somebody that you can ask your 200 questions of and get the information you need and then feel good. And you can do that. You can push on through it. You don't have to wait till them questions are over. That's just a guideline Nearly Fuller put out. And it happens to work. Feel good now means if you're going through something and it's affecting your body, then it's definitely going to affect your sexuality. Everything from the fibroid tumors to the prostate things going on with men to the impotency, okay, the urinary tract problems, the STDs. It's a way around all of that.
Right.
And it ain't a condom because those things are deadly. Go look up some of the lectures from Dr. Africa and see what he has to say about that. Then go do the research yourself. Okay? Those things are deadly. Well, what are we going to do? Abstain? No. Feel good now. Educate yourself. Find alternatives to the madness that we've been getting into. And learn how to start feeling good. You got to start feeling good. When you start feeling good about yourself, you can feel good about another. You can get into some good space and then enjoy some good, positive, healthy sex. You know, there's a lot we didn't cover with this, but we just talking off the cuff about some truths for us and having some fun with it. But, you know, we're going to put some things out there to talk about one specific subject at a time,
Right.
dealing with the, what is it, the modalities we have?
Yeah.
Yeah. That deal with that. But for right now, I'm just saying feel good now. When you start feeling good, you'll draw what you want to you, and it'll be good. You go into it all scared, hairy, this and that. That's the best thing you can do when you want some good sex. Just feel good going into it.
That's it.
Half the reason it's bad, or you having bad results because you're going into it scared, lying, BSing, and gaming. Change the energy going into your sex, and you'll automatically change the outcomes that you're producing. That's not altruistic. That's a fact. Now, yes, you got to do more than that, but that's a good place to start. So we can wrap.
Yeah, let's go feel good now.
All right, y'all got to go.